So writing subject headings, we've got some rules, and writing a subject heading is 50% of the challenge. If you can write a good subject heading, you're 50% of the way towards success. The subject heading is a lot more powerful than you think. And a lot of people don't respect the subject heading enough. Now, RE something, this topic or something here. You've got to think of a subject heading a little bit like the back of a DVD case. And if you're younger, I apologize, you might not understand this reference. But when I was younger, I used to go to the DVD shop, the movie store, to rent a DVD. Different times. We don't do that today, but different times. And when you went to, in Japan, we had Tsutaya. Tsutaya was a big DVD store. And when you go there, you look at the back of the DVD and you read the summary of what the DVD is about. And it was always a fight. It was a battle. Most of you watching this today probably know this experience, right? You were there with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your partner, you know, your dad, your mom, your sister, your brother. You picked up a well, if you're my age, you picked up a VHS cassette tape, maybe a Betamax, but if you picked up a VHS cassette or you picked up a DVD, and then usually in my family, I would pick up 2 or 3, and then I would fight with my brother, I would fight with my family, and then we negotiate which one we're going to watch. And it was exciting. It was a really exciting experience. It was my first kind of negotiation experience. I always enjoyed that, going to the DVD store to fight for the movie I wanted to watch. Young people today don't have that basic debate learning experience. But the back of the DVD is very much like the email subject heading that you will write. And if you don't spend energy on the DVD subject heading, nobody's going to buy it. And I'm using business words now. Buy it. Nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to buy it means nobody's going to read your email. How many times have you had the experience of writing an email with important information, and then you join a meeting and somebody says, I didn't know that. And you say, well, I emailed it to you. I sent the email last week. And then you've got a conflict, right? Because you know they didn't read the email, and they know they didn't read the email. Who is responsible? Is it your fault? Is it their fault? It's both. You know, we often blame the reader. We think that we can send any old shit to people, just crap, and that it's their job to read it. But it's not. It's your job to make it readable. It's your job to make it interesting to read. So with the subject heading, that's your DVD introduction. That's what it is that makes people want to read your email. So you've got to make it interesting. You got to make it short. You got to make it actionable. You got to give it a nice structure, and you've got to have a purpose. And a deadline is good too. Let people know the deadline. There have been so many times when I've had deadlines from clients, but they put the deadline somewhere deep in the email down here, you know, and I never read the email. And too late, I read the email because the email doesn't look important. The email says, hi, Nick. Okay, hi, Nick. That's not important. I'm a busy guy. Hi, Nick. Okay, whatever. I'll read it later. And then the email says, hi, Nick. You know, I have a big problem. I have to go to the European Union tomorrow to give a presentation about Japan's cultural diversity in sport. I need you to check my article within the next 24 hours. Well, it's too late. I'm sorry, I didn't see this email. That's the reality that I face almost every week. So improving your subject heading is a really important first step. You can break this down into a few areas. Number one, core focus. The core focus is make your subject heading short. Should be like a newspaper headline, a little bit like a newspaper headline. Newspaper headlines today have become terrible, haven't they? They're kind of like, just click. I don't want to say dirty words, but a lot of newspaper headlines today use sexual words or attractive words or exciting words, and it's a lie. It's not real, isn't it? They want you to click. But your job is to make it short, make it simple, and make it actionable. So very simple, short, simple, actionable. 3 things. So structure, make it a title, not a sentence. Think about a sentence and think about how we take a sentence in English and turn it into a headline. There's a big difference, and that's why reading news articles is really helpful. Reading the news articles from the newspapers, the online media is a great opportunity for you to understand how to translate an English sentence into a headline. And the opposite, you can't say a headline. You have to translate the headline into a sentence. So headlines don't have articles, a, the, and. They don't have prepositions, if possible, of, for, about, at. We try to destroy these because they just take up space. Good subject headings also have a headline. They have like an action for the reader to take. Announcement. If I'm reading a subject headline, a subject title, a subject heading, and it says announcement, that tells me what I need to do. I don't need to do anything. I just need to read it and I need to understand it. So seeing the word announcement is really helpful for me. Request. When I see the word request, my brain goes into action moment. I've got to do something. I've got to do something for my customer. I've got to do something for my client. When they write the word request, my brain starts to prioritize up. Announcement, prioritize down. Request, prioritize up. And that's your job as an email writer, to give people a sense of what they need to do. Of course, you can't be like the boy who cried wolf, right? Who cries wolf, 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 wolf. People are not going to believe you. If you put request or update, or request or needed every time, nobody's going to listen to you. So your job is to give a realistic summary of what the expectation is. And in many of the EST webinars, I talk so often about expectation management. How do you manage the expectations of the people listening to your presentation, of the people listening to your proposal, listening to your announcement? That's key, managing people's expectations. So having the action word, the action item, is really good in the subject heading. It tells people what to expect and it tells people how to act. In the EST system email, we only see the preview. So the preview just tells me what people wrote as a subject heading. And if I click on it, then I get to see more detail. So I don't get to see everything. I only get to see what the subject heading is, and sometimes preview text. So think about how to use that. So here we've got some really good words: announcement, request, update, information, needed, change, problem, complaint, confirmation, query. All of these tell the reader what the expectation is. Announcement, you don't need to do anything, just understand it. Request, you need to do something quickly. Update, the information you had before is not the same as the information today. Information, maybe it's new, maybe not, whatever. Needed, do it quickly. Change, again, the information before and the information now is different. Problem, oh no. Complaint, oh no, the big problem. Confirmation, okay, so what you thought was true before is still true now. This is just an update. Query, I need something from you, but not so urgent. So all of these are great words you could put at the end of your subject heading. Not at the end, not quite at the end, but after the topic or after the title. Then I always put the deadline. I always put, if it's needed, or if it's a request, or if it's a query, I always put the deadline by Tuesday, 1700, by Monday, noon, 12 o'clock. Couple of things. Number one, this deadline is not great. Why? Because it's time zone dependent. Well, what does 1700 mean? So usually I write by 1700 JST. JST means Japan Standard Time. I'm living in Tokyo, so I use Japan Standard Time. Sometimes I write UTC. UTC means Universal Time. That's basically the time in London, but not always. London sometimes uses British Summer Time. It's stupid. So make sure you learn those things. Pacific Time, Eastern Time, Central Time, UTC. Learn those letters. And sometimes you can put multiple combinations of times. You can put urgent if you want. But it's important that you do that for a global audience, unless your audience is limited to your domestic region. If your audience is limited to your domestic region, easy, no problem. But it's still a professional thing to do, to add this, because your audience is going to appreciate that, especially if your company has a global infrastructure. The last thing to put in your headline is the relevance. So the relevance means who should read this. Sometimes I get a group email and I read the group email and I get to the end of the email and I just think that's totally not for me. That's totally not meaningful for me. And I get frustrated with the sender. We are all lazy about just, okay, just send it to everybody in that group. So put at the end of your subject heading, who should read this? Important for the sales team. Well, the sales team must read, something like that. So who's all important for everyone? Everyone must read. Everyone team, that's not good, but everyone must read. So put the relevance at the end. So by the end of the subject heading, I know some basic things. Number one, I know, should I read this? If I don't need to read this because relevance, then it's okay. I can just skip it. I can save my time. How many emails do you read every day that are not written for you? Probably a lot. It's a waste of time. Skip them. I also know what action I should take. Should I just read it and update my information? Or should I take action quickly? And when is the deadline for that action? So these are really important things. So a huge amount of today's webinar has been spent talking about subject headings. That's it. If you can write a good subject heading, you're on a really good path towards better email writing. All right, let's have a quick look at some examples. Here's a subject heading. Yeah, I'd like to know more about your company's services. This is the kind of subject heading that EST gets every week. Somebody writes to us and says, I'd like to know more about your company services. That's okay, because they're a potential customer. My job is not to scold them and say, hey, that's a crappy email. But if they wanted to make it better, they could say something like this: company service list requested. So I put the subject. I'd like to know more about, it's a sentence. It's not a headline. Company service list. That's a topic. And then I have an action. I have a really clear action item: requested, needed. All right. Number two, here's a bad subject heading. There were some problems with a recent order that we would like to ask questions about. It's too long. Nobody's going to read that. Let's make it more efficient. Recent order, number, issues, query. And you can choose. You don't have to write issues and query. You can choose either of them. So don't think that your subject heading has to be a sentence. It doesn't. That's a skill. Being able to take a sentence, a complete idea, and make it into a title. Yeah. Recent order, query, recent order, issues. If you have an identification number, an account number, a reference number, a delivery number, any kind of number, use it in the subject heading. It blows my mind when people just don't use it in the subject heading, because that's the most important information. Anybody reading your email, if they're customer service, if they're trying to deal with your challenge, if they're trying to deal with your issue, anybody reading your email, that's the most important bit of information they need. Okay, they want to know the problem, but they don't care about your name. They don't care about who you are. That number is the thing that's going to help them solve your challenge quickly. So if you have a problem, if you have an issue, include the number in the subject heading. You will get a faster reply. Easy. All right, but so many people don't do it. Strange. Why not? It's easy. All right, action. So, we discussed that a little bit before. So yeah, put your action that you want. What's your expectation at the end? So announcement, request, update, information, needed, change, problem, complaint, confirmation, query. Yeah, we have a big announcement to make. Yeah, topic, announcement. So put your expectation at the end, just not quite the end, but after your topic. And that will help people understand what it is they're supposed to do. So we could say, I'd like to update you about the latest website change. No meaning, too much information. We can make it easy. Website change, update. Simple, right? I have a question about my recent booking. Booking, number 111, query. That's perfect. Again, we've got booking, that's the topic, we've got a reference number, and then we've got the action that we expect people to take. What about the deadline? Deadline comes next. Maybe you have a specific deadline, maybe you have a target date. So here's one of our previous subjects. Website changes update. Nah, that's okay. But better, website changes update, effective January 25th, 2022. Effective plus a date, that tells the reader when this information is valid from. It's very simple. Just write effective and then the date from which it's meaningful. All right, let's have a look at another one. Recent order, number 1111, issues query, sounds good. Let's put urgent on the end and let's push it, let's push it through. Maybe I'm writing to one of my vendors, writing to a hotel about a booking I have, put urgent on the end in parentheses. That tells them to prioritize this, because that's telling them that if they don't deal with it quickly, you're going to be upset, you're going to be annoyed, you're going to be angry. Relevance. This one is optional. So you don't always need to do this. That's up to you. That's your decision. But if this is a group email and this message only has relevance for a smaller part of that group, then control that. So company service list requested. Okay, so I'm sending this message to some vendor, company service list requested. Okay, that's okay. Maybe I want to put sales team in parentheses. I don't want this email. I'm sending this email to the company's website, and the company's website is info@englishstudiotokyo.com. It's a useless email like that, right? That's our email, info@englishstudiotokyo.com. It's okay, it's the company email address, but you want to focus on a specific team. Info@englishstudiotokyo.com, sales team, customer team, technical team. Putting the team that you want to read the email is going to help the first person to direct the email. Help them. It's very simple. So put the person or put the team that you want reading the email at the end, just like that. All right, so far today, we've looked at how to write a better subject heading. It's taken us about half of this webinar, but I want to remind you how important it is. So core focus, make it short, make it simple, make it actionable. Short, simple, actionable, three key things. This is not a sentence, it's a title. Remove a, and, the, on, in, at, for. Try to rework things. Put the action that you want. Announcement, request, update. Put the action after the topic, and then put the deadline, and then put the relevance. And the relevance could be optional, and the deadline could also be optional too. It's time for a quiz.